with the Maggie Valley Fly Shop Intro to Fly Fishing today, and it's brought to you by String Team Anglers, School of Fly Fishing, Waynesville, North Carolina, and we will be fly fishing the Great Smoky Mountains for beginners. I'm the instructor, Jerry Yates, and I'll be teaching today. And a lot of things we'll be going over. Well, I just introduced myself, but about the course, we're going to be going through everything from A to Z, learning about the gear like different reels and different types of lines, to knot tying, which is essential. We're going to break down that knot mess and make it simple so that someone can understand that they can get out on the water and easily tie a few knots that they can get the job done. And then we're actually going to be, again, going over the gear. We'll just kind of whip through this real quick. Even talking about different fly rods and what to expect in a fly rod, and how to find the right fly rod for a beginner or for intermediate or a professional. Different actions of fly rods. That's an important idea that you need to know, that sometimes you go out there and buy a fly rod and it's super fast and it's great for throwing big bugs, but all of a sudden you have a dry fly action going on there. They're eating on the top and you're slapping the water and you just can't get that soft cast. So we're going to talk about slow action rods too. Everything from different styles of rods and some tips and ideas of how to keep your rod and your investment safe. Now we break down into setting up the whole rod. Different types of fly lines, weight forward, shooting, double taper, and what that all means. And then gear, we're going to continue on with that with fly line, choosing dull colors, giving you some more tips and the tricks there, and clean line often. That way you can keep casting smoothly. Other things of gear, talking about our fluorocarbon versus monofilament, when they should be used, and different formulas of setting up a tapered leader into tippets, where you can tie onto your fly in different size flies, and what the knots, putting it all together. Now this looks like a jumbled mess right here, but that's the important part of going in and teaching the intro to fly fishing, is a few simple knots that they could use throughout the rest of their life that makes it easy. So we're going to talk about different types of knots, and we'll be doing some hands-on-hand instruction today. Nail knots, blood knots, surgeon knots, clinch or the Mac knot, and there's some just diagrams of the different ways, and our students today will be going home with some of these diagrams so they can actually go home and practice. So the nail knot, there we go, back in the line, kind of when and where to use these knots, teaching them how to use a nail knot tool. What's going on here? There you go. Leader to leader sections, we're going to be talking about double surgeon's knot or blood knot. All right, well, to continue on, we're going to be talking about leader to leader sections, how you can replace your leader sections as it starts getting shorter by using things like double surgeon's knot or even a blood knot. And there's a lot of knots out there that gets the job done, but teaching these two basic knots is something they can use the rest of their lives. And you have all the diagrams of doing these knots. And then tip it to fly, you're going to use the clinch knot or a Mac knot. And for me, the Mac knot is preferred, and we'll be doing some hands-on instruction with that. Going again with the diagram of the clinch knot. And then the Mac knot will be explained as we do a hands-on training with that. Now let's talk about species, what we have around here in the Smoky Mountains. Summertime is a great time to turn your attention to smallmouth bass. This one right here was actually a Pigeon River bass, which is not far from the shop here. So smallmouth bass on the fly is a blast. Trout species, what we have in our waters. Wild trout, brook trout. Brook trout are the only native fish in our waters, but we have a lot of different wild trout, like brown trout. And of course, that's me catching that big brown trout. And then we have rainbow trout, which oftentimes throughout our waters don't be fooled about with just catching small fish, because some of these rainbows get to be monsters. Different types of fly fishing that we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about dry fly fishing, how to use a nymph on a dry rod, streamer fishing, how to wet fly fish, and very important, how to use Euro nymphing and a mono rig. A mono rig and Euro nymphing kind of hand in hand, just a little bit different setup. And then we're going to talk about categories of fly patterns. There's suggestive fly patterns, which I'm really big on because one fly pattern can actually represent a couple of different insects, giving off the silhouette in the water. Hare's ear, pheasant tail, prince, stimulator, searching and attracting patterns. So here's some ideas of suggestive fly patterns. You see the different flies on top. You got a hare's ear, you got a pheasant tail, and a prince nymph. But you look down below and you see these two actual live different species of mayflies, and you can kind of see that silhouette. So suggestive fly patterns are a key point. So let's also talk about impressionistic flies, or flies that actually are tied to look almost exactly like the real thing. Things like brownstone fly, case caddis, March brown, inchworms, and here's some examples. So these are all actually tied flies, but a couple of them look pretty darn real. And if you have all the time in the world to sit down on a fly tying vise and tie these kind of flies, I'm sure they're very lethal and they work well. So now that we're at the end of this intro to fly fishing class here today, I want you to know that by going out and practicing what you've learned here and what we teach you here at Maggie Valley Fly Shop is the ability to go out and comfortably do this on your own. We love to have you out here. We love to go on guide trips with you, but to enrich that guide experience, take our course, come and learn, because you will get better, you will learn some things. And the idea here really is to take anyone from just starting into fly fishing, or who's intermediate, or who's expert, and build on that, because we learn from you too. But the idea here really is to get you out there on the water and get you successful with getting some hookups. So come and join us at Maggie Valley Fly Shop, do the intro to fly fishing course, and then come back and actually sign up for courses that help you to elevate that experience for you. Anywhere from beginners to the expert classes, we'll tailor it for you. But get out there and tight lines.